in this country. People are hurting. The way you beat Trump and the way we grow the voter turnout is to deal with the issues that working class people are feeling. You don't have to worry about tax breaks for billionaires. They're doing just fine. Let's focus on the needs of the working class in this country. So here is what we do. We're going to raise the minimum wage to at least 15 bucks an hour. There are a lot of low-wage workers who will respond to that. We're going to have equal pay for equal work. Women should not be making 80 cents an hour. We are going to make it easier, as I said earlier, for workers to join unions because millions of workers know the benefit of unions. They want to join unions. We are going to make, you tell me about Detroit. A lot of kids, African American kids, Latino kids, having a hard time affording college, all right? Yeah. Or they're leaving school with massive debts, right? Yeah. All right, we're going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And we're going to cancel student debt. Take that. We are going to do what every other major country on earth does, guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child as a human right, not a privilege. And we're going to deal with an issue that I know is really important in the African American and Latino communities, and that is a broken and racist criminal justice system, which has more people in jail in the United States than any other country on earth. We're going to invest in the kids and education, not more jails and incarceration. We're going to give hope to people who have lost hope. All right? Those are some of the things that I think will get people energized and understand that it's an imperative that we have a government representing workers, not just billionaires. Second of all, there are depressed communities. I was in Detroit with Rashida Tlaib a month or so ago. And what you have in Detroit's doing really well for the billionaires, not so well for working people. I went to an emergency food shelf outside of Detroit. A lot of people desperately in need of food. What my promise is to urban and rural areas which have been depressed, which have lost good jobs, as certainly the Midwest has, we're going to invest in those communities big time. We're going to invest in good jobs, rebuilding our infrastructure, cleaning up our water systems. How's that for Michigan? Providing universal child care. We're going to do that, by the way, and create many millions of good paying jobs. And one other thing that we are going to do is we're going to tell the wealthiest people in this country that they're going to start to have to pay their fair share of taxes. That's some of what we're going to do.
So, we have a former frontier striker who was on the picket lines for 6 years, 4 months, and 10 days without one single person crossing the picket line. Elodia, you're going to ask a question.
Hi, Senator Sanders. My name is Elodia. I am a frontier striker. In Las Vegas, we've been fighting for health care for decades. We have a strike for 9 months and a half at the horseshoe. In 1991, we have the frontier strike for 6 years, 4 months, and 10 days. And no one of us crossed the picket line. You know, it's Mojave Desert. You know how hot is it? You know it's Mojave Desert. You know how hot is. We had the line for 24 days, for 24 hours, 7 days a week. 550 of my co-workers and I maintained the line, and nobody crossed the picket line. It makes me emotional to talk about the strike to this day because it was one of the hardest things that I've been done. We went to strike to protect our health care that I need for my family. I just one of 550 workers who went to strike, but I know our race, sacrifice, help build this union and our beautiful health care. We love our culinary health care. We want to keep it. Yeah. I don't want to change it. Yeah. Why I should change it?
Well, you should. Let me just say this. Thank you. We have in this country a dysfunctional, broken, and cruel healthcare system. Right? Now, we spend twice as much per person on healthcare as do the people of any other country. You all know that? So it's not a question that we are not spending enough. We spend a fortune. We're spending $11,000 for every man, woman, and child in this country on healthcare. And yet after we spend all of that money, 87 million people are uninsured or underinsured. 30,000 die each year because they don't go to a doctor when they should because they're uninsured. And 500,000 people go bankrupt because of medically related debt. Can't pay their health care bills. The United States is the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. I live in Burlington, Vermont. Come on up and visit us sometime. It gets a little cold up there, I gotta tell you. I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border. If you get really sick and you have a major operation in Canada, does anybody here know how much you end up paying after a month in the hospital? Zero, not a penny. You go to any doctor you want, any hospital you want. What Medicare for All, and I want you to listen to this. This is what we are doing, we are proposing. Number one, we're going to expand Medicare to cover dental care. Because dental care is health care. We're going to make sure that everybody in America who needs it has hearing aids, has eyeglasses. And the other thing that we are going to do is have Medicare cover home health care so that elderly people are not pushed out of their homes into nursing homes. We are going to, in Medicare for All, because we're going to take on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry and lower drug prices significantly. Nobody will pay more than $200 a year for prescription drugs, no matter what your illness is. Under Medicare for All, people will be able to go to any doctor they want, go to any hospital that they want. Now, let me deal with the issue that's on your mind. Because we spend so much for healthcare, your employer is spending a lot on your healthcare. On the Medicare for All, because we end the profiteering of the insurance companies and the drug companies that made $100 billion last year, because we end the bureaucratic nightmare of thousands of separate health programs that have to be administered, we save many, many hundreds of billions of dollars. And that means that your employer will not have to pay $15,000 a year for your health care. Your employer will pay $3,000. That's a $12,000 differential. You know who gets that $12,000? You get that $12,000. So in other words, what we are proposing is comprehensive health care. The most broad health care program ever brought forward in the United States of America. We save money for everybody. because we end the profiteering and greed and collusion of the drug companies and the insurance companies. Employers save money. Under our legislation, workers get the difference. If your employer is now paying you, is spending $15,000 a year, which he is on your health insurance, on our plan, roughly speaking, he'll be spending $3,000. $12,000 differential, which goes to your wages and other benefits. I think that's a good deal.
I believe in town hall meetings, but we're going to let candidates speak without any sort of heckling. And if you want to heckle, go outside and heckle. I don't mind. We want to learn. The town hall meetings are to learn from each candidate. Frankly, not to learn from the hecklers, but to learn from the candidates. Second, I want to be very clear to everybody. This union stands very strongly that every single American, just like Senator Sanders has said, deserves to have good, quality health care. It is a right. It should never be a privilege in this country. We have a, you never get out of any Q&A in Las Vegas right now without a question from a station's worker. So I want to introduce Matthew's bartender at the Fiesta Henderson. He's a real trooper. He's been on our committee for quite some time. Matthew.
Thank you. Hello, Senator Sanders. My name is Matthew. I'm a bartender at Fiesta Henderson, and it's a station's properties owned by the billionaires Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta. We made our voices heard. We voted to have unionized the station's properties, and you've been very supportive about it. We thank you for it. We made our voices heard, and it's time for stations, casinos to listen to us and respect what we want. I have a family. I have a wife and 2 kids. I'm very blessed to have an 8-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. My daughter got really sick, and we had to take her to the hospital, and we had to pay $1,500 in deductibles. We had the Culinary health insurance. I wouldn't have to worry about the need for the tax deductible. I wouldn't have a need for the high premiums or the deductibles. We need to have a contract. We need to have it now. It's time for stations, casinos to sit down and have a negotiate with us. There's a tax break from Congress that they're trying to pass that's going to give station casinos a $500 million in tax breaks. And I don't think it's right that station casinos gets this huge tax break when they won't sit down and start a union contract with us. So my question is to you, what will you do to stop station casinos from getting this huge tax break?
Everything I can. We live in a country where the government continues to give tax breaks and government contracts to companies who are contemptuous of workers, who deny them the right to organize, who may ship their jobs abroad. Under our administration, we are not going to be giving tax breaks to those companies who refuse to allow workers the right to organize and, in fact, to sit down and negotiate a fair first contract. That's what we do.
I have no doubt about Senator Sanders' position, but we have to back him up with other senators. That I will guarantee you. Now, the next is, as you know, Unite Here wants to change Florida. I'm sick and tired of losing Florida by 1 percentage point. That's what it always is. I want to introduce, she's one of our leaders. She is actually the president of our local in Miami, Rose.
My name is Rose Dennis. I live in South Florida for 14 years. After fleeing my own country, Haiti, for political persecution. And I live in Miami, that town I love so much. But I've been, witness the climate change. It's been devastating Miami with the hurricane. A lot of people lost their home, their cars, that they work really hard to have. And also, people lost their life. And I have close family who lost their lives, because of the hurricane. And the second biggest scary issue is the level of the sea rise. And our industry will represent workers from hotels, casinos, and airports. And when the hurricane happened, people got really scared about their pay. They lost their pay, their benefits, with no hope they're gonna get paid. When Hurricane Irma hit us 2 years ago, my union has to stand up really hard and fight with big corporations in order for those workers to get paid. Can you imagine, Senator Sanders, people who don't have the union, as stressful it can be for these people? My question for you, what is your plan on issue of work and climate? Because we stand to lose a lot of jobs in Florida and Miami, especially because of the climate change.
Rose, thank you very much for that. I'm going to get everybody very nervous now, all right? You ready to get nervous, Rose?
Yes.
We have a president today who is not only doing a terrible disservice to the people of our country, but to the entire world and our kids and future generations by denying the reality of climate change. So let me tell you what the scientists, the people who have studied this issue most thoroughly, believe. What they believe is not just that obviously climate change is real. You talk about Florida, we saw what happened in the Bahamas, we saw what happened in New Orleans, we saw what happened in Charleston, we saw what happened in Houston. Right now, in Australia, that country is on fire. California, you all know the terrible drought and the fires that took place. I went to Paradise, California. Does that town ring a bell? Yeah. Town was almost wiped out by a fire several years ago. So here is what the scientists are telling us. And that is, if we do not get our act together in the United States and all over the world, the sea will continue to rise. Miami is one of the cities that will be significantly underwater by the end of the century. That means repeated floods, more frequently and worse. New York City, Charleston, South Carolina, coastal communities all over the world. It means we're going to see more drought. Farmers are not going to be able to grow the food that we need. Food prices are going to go up. When the earth warms, we're going to see more disease because the bacteria in malaria and in other serious diseases will be around longer. We're going to see more severe weather disturbances. That's what we have to look forward to unless we do the right thing. And I am very proud to tell you that I have listened to the scientists. I've read a little bit about this. We have introduced the most comprehensive and sweeping climate change legislation ever introduced by any candidate running for federal office. And that is based on the so-called, what we call the Green New Deal. And I'm working with people in Congress like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on this issue. And what we can do is create many millions of good-paying jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. What we are dealing with here, and Rose, I thank you so much for asking this. It is easy for us to turn our backs on this issue. Oh, climate change is not real. If you do that, you are doing a terrible disservice to your kids and your grandchildren. Climate change is real. And as president, I will not only help transform the energy system in this country, but lead the world. We got to get Russia, China, India, Pakistan, all the countries of the world on board. And maybe, just maybe, we can convince the world that instead of spending $1.8 trillion every single year on weapons of destruction to kill each other, maybe we pool our resources against our common enemy, which is climate change. Thank you.
I know climate change is real because Bill Nye, the science guy, confirmed it, so I'm good. Anybody who doesn't think it's real has not lived it around at all. Thank you, Rose. One of the things I said when we started this was what Airline Catering represents. Not the best of America, the worst of America. The best of America are those workers who are fighting it. I'd like to introduce Samuel from Dallas, who works at the Sky Chef unit in American Airlines.
Good morning, Senator Sanders. My name is Samuel Tandankwa. I come from Dallas, and it happens to be the headquarters from one of the giant corporate American Airlines. I've worked with LSG Sky Chef for American Airlines. I've been doing that for almost 20 years.